Ladies and gentlemen, this invitation is not to be trifled with.
There's been a murder, and one of you is the perpetrator. Or maybe it's her, or him. Actually, let's let Detective Benoit Blanc figure that one out. That way, you could just sit back and watch the behind-the-scenes magic of Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Number 1. Imagine being cooped up inside for months binge-watching shows, and getting a casual call to basically work in Greece.
I'm making a movie in Greece. Would you like to come? It's like, well, sure.
The cast of Glass Onion were incredibly lucky to be able to get the call, and Edward Norton was eager without even reading a script.
If he calls me up, whatever it is, sort of sight unseen, I'm in.
In addition to working in Greece, the film was also shot on location in Serbia. Not such a bad gig to take. Number 2. Does Daniel Craig even know what accent he's using? In fact, he really doesn't.
It was a little more complicated than just sort of like picking up a costume and putting it on.
With a bizarre mix of Mississippi and Louisiana, we're guessing, Craig did indeed still give off a stellar performance, using a different mix of dialects for each film. It was actually a little joke director Rian Johnson suggested Craig do before filming began for Knives Out, but they decided it was best to take things a little more seriously. So it isn't a joke. Blanc does not have a discerning accent.
There's also a complicated plot line, which really needed careful manipulation, whatever the right word is, I don't know.
Of course, this accent didn't make or break the film, as Daniel was mostly focusing on bringing the character to life. Number 3. When filming in sea towns across the world, you have to make sure the attire matches the setting, and costume designer Jenny Egan had a field day designing all the exotic tropical outfits for the cast. Egan was brought back from the first film, which had a drastically different costume wardrobe. For obvious reasons, the wardrobe needed a big change. Plus, it'd be way too cold to wear a bikini in New England. Jenny explained, "I felt like it could go to an absolutely new, exciting place where I didn't have to be married to anything except Benoit Blanc, and even he is completely different. I just wanted to make as much as I could to make it really special, and make a splash and make these characters so individual."
Your clothes are almost like self-expression, and Jenny knows that to like the nth degree.
Number 4. Does it ever bother you when somebody cuts you off? It did for Daniel when he performed those long monologues to the group of wealthy suspects.
I said, I don't want to split these up.
He implored Johnson to allow him to power through these long sequences, which is understandable, because it would be hard to keep the same emotional tone over multiple resets of takes.
I wanted it to be as consistent as possible. You keep using my voice.
This was just one of the many things Craig did to help him stay in character. The other thing he did? Well, we'll get to that a little later. Just keep an eye out for a Walkman around the set. Number 5. Wait. They did not give an actor a real weapon on set, right?
It's a real spear gun. I was just terrified to be like holding it.
After hearing of Madelyn Cline's wild experiences on this set, much more on that soon. We can't imagine what it would have felt like to hold a loaded spear gun near so many crew members and actors. Number 6. The incredibly lucky Madelyn kicks off her blockbuster role with a very awkward encounter.
My first scene with Edward, and I was so nervous.
But it doesn't end there. Ryan thought it would be a wonderful idea for her to hug Norton during the scene for an uncomfortably long time. Talk about getting comfortable around your idol fast. Number 7. We have one thing to say in honor of Daniel's acting career.
Halle Berry.
Any of you Daniel Craig fans know he's got to sneak in Halle Berry's name in all of his performances. Although nobody really understands why he says it, this cast sure got a kick out of it every time he said it as Detective Blanc.
It's in the trailer!
Number 8. It has to be incredibly fun knowing who the perpetrator is in a mystery, and just being able to throw off any sleuths in the audience.
There are definitely moments where you look and I'm holding my bag in a very suspicious way.
Jessica Henwick revealed that she had a little too much fun adding subtle facial expressions and gestures in some of her scenes, just because it felt kind of good to feel like the bad guy for a moment.
Like all good murder mysteries, every single person is a suspect.
Exactly.
Right. So
some aren't even noticeable at first glance, but you bet your detective hats that we will be watching it over and over again to catch these improvised moments.
The movie doesn't hinge on the, oh, aha, that person did it. It's a roller coaster ride.
Number 9. You remember that Walkman we mentioned, right?
Did you see
Yes.
him listen to
Yes.
his Walkman? Because he was like, he needed to stay in character.
To get into that right mindset for his character, Daniel would listen to music on his Walkman all the time. It was rare to ever spot him without it.
If he didn't have his music playing and like something to center him, he would get distracted.
As you may know, this is not a rare thing for actors to be doing on set. But of all the tech in the world, James Bond still uses Walkmans? Number 10. Madelyn may not have to worry about this film flopping, but she sure does have to worry about belly flopping in the near future.
I definitely belly flopped. I knew it.
This just looked so painful. Ouch. Diving into a pool is just not her strong suit here. Number 11. For a film with such an incredibly talented cast, you'd think that would already be a lot for director Rian Johnson to handle, but you really couldn't have an epic mystery without the late and great Angela Lansbury and Stephen Sondheim. We all should be familiar as to why Angela was featured. Her role as Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote was iconic for its time, but would you like to guess as to why Stephen was written in? Brian explained that Sondheim has a massive connection to the murder mystery genre. He was a puzzle and mystery nut. He co-wrote with Anthony Perkins The Last of Sheila, which our film takes a huge part from in terms of the setup. Number 12. You'd think that after every project Johnson has done, he'd have no trouble with something that has little to no effects. But he did in fact have the most trouble when it came to framing up the ensemble cast on screen, so he referred back to the greats for help.
Like Steven Spielberg is the modern master of how to stage a scene.
Number 13. Wow, an actual film based in reality? So many projects that were filmed during the COVID-19 pandemic have already reached audiences, but only a small few actually acknowledged what was happening in the real world. Since Glass Onion is set in the present day, and masks were still mandatory on set, he found a better way to incorporate it. Number 14. Netflix pulled out the big bucks for Knives Out. Can you guess how much they paid for just the rights of the series? No, not 200 million, not even 300, but a whopping $450 million. Not to mention, this doesn't even include the budget it would take to make the movies. So we can be reassured that Knives Out will return a lot more in the near future. Number 15. We're ready for the next one, please. With that big Netflix deal we just mentioned, Rian Johnson became eager to begin the next installment.
To me, the idea for the next one is it's about just trying to create something that surprises us and thus hopefully will surprise the audience and will delight the audience, hopefully.
There's not much more other than that, but we did get a little inside scoop by producer Ram Bergman regarding its status. So the good thing, he is very motivated to go do the next one as quickly as possible, but you know, we'll see how fast he is. But this is going to be a challenge. It's going to be a bigger challenge, so we'll see how long it's going to take. It's a good thing Rian Johnson and the rest of the cast made it incredibly difficult for you trailer watchers out there to uncover it so soon. If you were cast in the next Knives Out mystery, would you rather play the perpetrator or the victim? Let us know secretly in the comments.